It is a beautiful day out this morning. Not a single cloud in sight. Hope you've got a nice cup of coffee. I've got mine. I think it is quite fitting that it is a beautiful day out because we're going to be talking about a beautiful book, The Last Unicorn. Real quick, if I sound congested and snotty and gurgly and crunchy in the throat, it's because I've been a little sick, a little cold the past week. Nothing crazy. It's just been kind of headaches and snot and just kind of tired. Just kind of annoying. I am easily excitable. I have the emotions of a golden retriever puppy. And I can get a little ahead of myself. But when I say this, I want you to know I mean it. This book, The Last Unicorn, is the most beautiful book I have read since Name of the Wind, which is my favorite book of all time. This book made me feel like that free, innocent kid that I used to be in my childhood, before the weight of responsibility of adulthood comes crashing down. And I know it sounds cliche, but this book was magical. It was pure magic. The purest thread a spell could weave, and it stole my heart. And it makes me wonder why I never see this book being talked about on booktube. I never see it in people's top 10 fantasy books of all time. Or if I do, it's very rare. And whenever I mention The Last Unicorn, people are like, oh, the TV show or the movie, right? I'm like, no, there's a book. And this came out in the 60s. I don't know. Anyways, that's just a little side note. So what is The Last Unicorn about? Well, it's about a unicorn and one of the last unicorns. And she ventures out of her forest in search of her own kind. And she goes on this grand adventure. And along the way, she meets a couple companions, one of which is probably my favorite wizard of all time. I know that may be a hot take, but I think Smedrick is a perfect wizard. When it comes to fantasy, I think of Gandalf and I think of Smedrick. I don't want to go any further than that when it comes to the story. I don't want to spoil anything for you. This is a very short book. It's less than 300 pages. And it's more than just an adventure. It's more than just a castle, a unicorn, a wizard. It is so deep and profound. And I think you just need to go in with as little information as possible. One thing I do want to talk about is the language of this book. Peter S. Beagle is a poet. And this, like I've said, is one of the most beautiful books I've ever read. Every single sentence, I was just taking my sweet time, just chewing on every single word, savoring the flavor. It is just riddles and metaphors and poetry in every single line, every single sentence. And nothing is told. Nothing is even really shown. You know, the term show don't tell. There is suggestion and subtlety to the language. And I love that. I love when I'm able to read something and the answer is not given to me. I have to figure out, what did that mean? If you're a follower of my channel, you will know that Patrick Rothfuss is my favorite author of all time. And Name of the Wind is my favorite book of all time. Well, I discovered this book because I somehow found a comment about it, or maybe a video, that this book was Patrick Rothfuss's favorite book, and he even wrote an introduction to this book. And my goodness, let me tell you, I can see as clear as day how much this book inspired Patrick Rothfuss and inspired his writing style and his language when it comes to his books. I think the only way for me to describe the language of this book is to share a few quotes, but I don't even want to do that because that's spoiling an experience for you, something tender and private and unique, and I would hate to ruin that for you. So I will just read the very first paragraph. The unicorn lived in a lilac wood, and she lived all alone. Okay, done. My favorite quote. No, I'm kidding. She was very old, though she did not know it, and she was no longer the careless color of sea foam, but rather the color of falling snow on a moonlit night. That's all I'll read right there, just because I don't want to spoil anything. I've never read anything like it. And he paints such a vivid picture. And there is feeling to that picture. And there's feelings to his words. It's much less about the description of something. The description of a room and whatnot. If he is describing a cobblestone road or a hallway, there's a feeling to it. There's human emotions kind of attached to his descriptions. It's a very similar reading experience to Name of the Wind, where it almost seems like every line there's something deeper, something beneath the surface, rather than just the words on a page. I feel like I have to reread something or just take a pause, put the book down and really just ponder about the true meaning of what was just said. Let's talk about the characters and the way Peter describes characters. So quick, so easy, and he just paints a picture within a sentence or two. And that's all I need. I don't need 15 paragraphs about a character's description. Although I don't mind, I just think with the tone of this book and how quick it is, he doesn't waste any time. Every character was so different and unique from one another in this book. The way Peter described their appearances, their personalities, their mannerisms, the way they talked. Even though this is a fantasy book, characters felt so realistic and just true to life. They truly felt like they lived in that world. And even though the world wasn't a major focus in the book, it was touched upon. And it just felt like a beautiful watercolor painting. Just so picturesque and colorful and bright. Nothing overstayed its welcome. I was never left wanting more. I mean, yes, I wanted more, but I wasn't left unsatisfied. When you have your favorite music album and it's a perfect album, which is quite rare. And when I mean perfect, I mean every single song is a banger. Every single song just flows beautifully, like there's a story being told. No song stands out like, I'll skip that one. No, you don't skip any song on this album. It's your favorite album of all time. I'm talking about you, Rumors. This is a perfect book, much like a perfect album. And I say that because this is a standalone book. And I think that's quite rare in the genre of fantasy. Most books in fantasy need to be a trilogy or a series. No, this didn't need 2 extra books to be a trilogy. It didn't need 5 other books to be a series. It's perfect. It's perfect by itself. As much as I want to go into detail about the narrative and the underlying themes and deep philosophical messages that are within the covers of this book, I don't want to spoil anything. This is a book that I know Everyone will have their own unique reading experience. Everyone will have their different interpretations and different conclusions. This is a book that is so rich and deep in its language that you'll gather new messages and new meaning, and you'll pick up on little details with each read through. You know, it's a book that you won't want to read just once. You'll want to read it 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times. Although I am one to say, hey, let's stop rereading Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and move on to new books. I don't like recommending books outright. I feel like a lot of us in the book community, or at least some of the conversations I've had with people, have the habit of just shouting out books. Oh, have you read this? Have you read that? Oh my gosh, you need to read this. And they don't even ask questions. They don't even ask the other person what they're into, what genres they like, what intrigues them. I like to calm down a little bit. I like to ask questions and really get to know you as a reader and see what you like and what you don't like before I shout out a book. With that being said, I'm here to say this. Go buy this book right now. Go to your local bookstore. Go to your library. Go get it on Amazon. Just get it and read it. I'd even recommend this book before I recommend Name of the Wind. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you go pick this book up and let me know. Let me know what you think of it, because this was one of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life.